Flubaroo is an add-on that can help you grade quizzes in Google Forms. So I have created a generic quiz here, and the quiz has a bunch of questions that are multiple choice that have a specific correct answer that I have chosen. When you actually make a quiz, please don't put correct on there. I just do that so I know which letter I want to be correct. I also have two short answer questions at the end. Now the first thing that I need to do once I've completed a quiz, take it to get an answer key. So I'm going to hit send, and I'm going to get the link to the quiz, and then I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to paste the link in so that I can get to the quiz, and then I'm going to take the quiz. Now I always like to identify myself as the answer key for my first and last name so that I know that this is the one that I want to use as my answer key. So now I'm going to go as quickly as I can and take this quiz. Okay, I want to pause for just a second on these short answers. Flubaroo can auto-grade short answer questions as long as there is a specific answer that you are looking for. Now, it can also do it if you have more than one specific answer, but there's a little formatting that you need to do if you want to do that. So this second question here, I have two correct answers that I want to be possible correct answers. So what I do is in between my two correct answers, I need to put a %or. That's the formatting that you need, and then I put the second one. You can have more than two possible correct answers also. If there's 3 or 4 different ways to put an answer, you can put all 3 or 4 of them. You just need to have a %or in between each one. So I'm going to submit this, and then I'm going to retake this quiz a bunch of times pretending that I'm a student, so I have some student data that we can look at also. Okay, now I've put in responses, and I want to go through that. Now, first off, you can always look at the responses from the Google form itself by clicking on responses, and you can take a look at the summary, so who took it, and then you'll also have a breakdown of the questions and what % each question was answered, so you can take a look at those types of things. But we want to take a look at Flubaroo. So to do Flubaroo, on the Responses tab, there is an icon that's a spreadsheet icon, and if you click on that, it will open a Google spreadsheet for this information. So I'm going to click on the spreadsheet, and it asks if I want to create a new spreadsheet. And yes, I do. I want to create a new spreadsheet for this, and it'll put all of the information that was gathered into that spreadsheet. Now, I'm going to take from the spreadsheet, and this is where the Flubaroo add-on is. It's not on the forms itself, it's on the spreadsheet. So from the add-ons tutorials that you've already done, you can go to add-ons, and if you haven't done it already, you can get the add-on for Flubaroo. I've already done it, so I have mine right here. And I'm going to first enable Flubaroo on this sheet. So I'm going to go to it once and click enable, and it's going to enable it on the sheet, and I'll continue. And once I've done that, I can go back to add-on and go to Flubaroo again, and it will give me all of the options. Now, just to let you know, there's 2 different ways to grade an assignment. You can either grade it, so just to have it set up to grade, so once everybody's taken it, you can grade the assignment. You can also set it up to auto-grade, so you can create the form and do the answer key, and then you can set it up to auto-grade, and then every time a student submits their answers, Flubaroo will automatically grade it for them, and you can also set it up to give those responses to the students so they can look at what their results are. So I'm going to go to Flubaroo, and I'm just going to grade the assignment first. We'll look at that advanced feature in just a minute. Now, when I try to grade the assignment, the first thing that it does is it wants me to identify each of the questions. And Flubaroo does a pretty good job of identifying questions by itself. So, for example, username, first name, and last name, Flubaroo recognizes those as things that identify the student, so it does that. And then for my questions, it goes through and it says it wants to do normal grading or not. Now, I can click on this anytime I want to, and I can look at the different options, which are identify student, skip grading, which means I asked a question but it's not graded, normal grading, which Flubaroo will auto grade it, or by hand. So if there were short answer or essays that I want to grade by hand, I can choose by hand for some of the questions. I can also assign point values for things. So let's say that my short answers were worth more points than my regular questions. I could go down to my short answers and I could add point values to those, and then it would weight those scores. So I'm going to click continue. And the next thing it's going to do is ask me to select an answer key, which is why I named it answer key, so I can choose that one and hit continue again. And then Flubaroo goes through the process of grading the assignment. So now the assignment is graded, and you'll notice that there are two tabs down here. The first one is where the submissions live, so that didn't change at all. But Flubaroo created a new tab, and in that new tab, it gave us a bunch of information about our test. So it gives us our points possible, the average for the class, how many submissions there were, and then the number of low-scoring students. Now, if you take a look at this, each student is named here, and then their points and percentages are also identified. And then the other thing that you can take a look at is it color codes things, so you can identify which students are below a certain percentage. You can also edit the percentage that you want it to be above and below, and we'll look at how to do that. The other thing that it does is it highlights a different color any questions that were fairly lowly answered. So question 1 did not have a percentage that was above that threshold, so it was identified as a question that was an issue for students. And if I scroll through, I can look and see if there's other questions. So questions 9 and 10 were also not well done by students in general. Now let's look at a couple of the other things that you can do with Flubaroo. So I'm going to go to add-ons again and go to Flubaroo, and what I'm going to do here is go to the advanced, and I'm going to click on advanced options to look at some of the options that we have. So the percentage below which students info is highlighted in red, so this is where you would change your percentage. So if 70 is too low or too high, you can adjust that here. And then you have some other options that you can take a look at and go through to see what those are. So I'm going to submit this, and then we're going to look at another thing for Flubaroo, and that is the auto grading. So I'm going to enable auto grade. So if I click on enable auto grade, it will ask me if I want to enable auto grade, and I'll say yes. So you can do this before students submit anything at all, and it'll go through the same basic process that I did before. Again, I can select my answer key, and then one other thing that it does when it auto grades is you can share grades. And so to share grades, the email address question is where they get the email addresses from, and if you collected the usernames, you already have the email addresses. And then it selects a share method. You can share in two different ways. You can either share via email, or you can share via Google Drive, or if you want to, you could do both of those. Now, if it's Google Drive, it will actually send the students the document, so the document will be shared with them. If it's email, it will email the results in an email. You can include the answer key, so you can show them what the correct answers were if you would like, and you can also include a message. So if they take a quiz and then they need to look at the results and do something, you can add a message that tells them what they are supposed to do. If I click continue, it'll go through the auto grade process, and then it's set up to auto grade. So now anytime somebody submits a new thing to this Flubaroo, it will auto grade that for them, and it will send them an email with their responses. Now there's one additional feature that I need to show you on Flubaroo, and then we'll be all done. And in order to show you, I actually have to disable autograde, because once it's enabled, you can't make any changes. So I'm going to disable autograde and then show you the one other feature that I wanted to show you. Now, you will have to set this up before you do the autograde, but let me show you what it is. So now I'm going to go back to Flubaroo, and I'm going to go to Advanced again, and I'm actually going to go to Advanced Options. So I probably should have showed you when I was there before, but I didn't think about it. So the last option on here is to use my return address when emailing grades rather than no reply at address. If you have elementary school students and they don't have email opened to the outside world, they can't get emails from a no reply address. So if their email is open but it's internal and they can only get internal emails, you need to select this option in order to email students their results. Now, if you do the option where it sends it to their Google Drive, you don't have to worry about this. But if you want to email grades to students at the younger grade levels, this is something that you'll probably want to turn on. That's it for Flubaroo, and a quick thing on how it works and also how to set up autograde if you want to do that. I hope that this gives you some awesome stuff that you can use in your classroom.